right, we're gonna film 2 episodes in one day, which I usually don't do. But episode today of Getting to Know Jerry. I think we might shorten it to GTKJ. Getting to Know Jerry, like New Kids on the Block and KTOB. We're gonna shorten that. I wanted to put this video out because I want to make no mistake about it that my dad was a really great man. Like, no mistake about it. I know that some of the other videos that I put up after listening to my mom lose her shit, some people may take it as I was talking down about my family, and that's not what it was. I was telling the fucking truth, which the truth fucking hurts, and that's just all there is to it. But it's not that I don't love my parents, not that I don't love my dad, and not that I don't appreciate everything he did, but 2 lessons in general that my father taught me that I'll take with me to the grave. And I don't know if, well, I think the first one I'll talk about, I think that was by design. I think that was planned out methodically. It was executed a certain way and it worked. The second one I'm going to talk about, I don't think there was any planning behind it whatsoever. I don't think there was anything more than the moment. But the moment and what was happening is going to last with me for a lifetime. So let's start with the first one. So my father had been injured at work, was out of work. They had a lawsuit going against Frito-Lay. It was a big to-do thing. And eventually my dad was able to go back to work, but he couldn't find work. He never finished high school. He dropped out when I think he was 14 years old. And at this point, it was a very big, back in the day, not everybody went to college, not everybody finished high school, but at this point where he was at right now, people with college degrees were getting jobs that he would normally be able to get, and it was a big thing. Like now, 2019, college not such a big thing. People are very successful without college and stuff like that, but back then it wasn't like that. So my parents came to me. I wanted this pair of shoes. I think they were the Nike hiking boots, to be honest with you. They were like $70 or something. I mean, back then it's a lot of money for a pair of shoes, right? And my parents were just like, look, we don't have $70. Like, you can get those Reeboks right there, which is what you normally wear. And they're like $34 at J. Mill Shoe World. And I was like, yeah, but I really like those. My parents were like, look, this is where we're at right now. And I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I wasn't like, okay, I was pissed. I was upset because I really wanted these. And I was like, all right, fuck it, whatever. So I remember my parents coming to me one day and they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Your father is going to get a paper route. I was like, what the fuck? I'm picturing my dad riding a bike throwing papers. I'm like, what the fuck? So, because that's what our paper boy did. He threw the papers from his bike. So your father's going to get a paper route and so are you. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, me and my dad are going to be riding bikes? Like, what the fuck? Like, none of this is making any sense. Because as a kid, like, you only know what you know, right? And my mom said, there are 2 routes that opened up. They're together. And back in the day, it was like in the newspaper. They advertised in the newspaper. Oddly enough, you're giving the newspapers out, but they advertise in the newspaper. So you're going to get these 2 routes, and your father's going to drive you, and you're going to do both routes together, and then you're going to split the money, 50-50. I said, okay, because his route was a little bit bigger, whatever. Mine was a little smaller, whatever. So it evened out in the end. I said, oh, wow, that's good. Well, how much are we going to make? My dad was like, oh, maybe you make like $90 a week or something. You know what I mean? Something like real small. You did get paid by the no, we didn't get paid by the paper place. Providence Journal didn't pay us. It was just tips. Or it was like, $3 a day or something. It wasn't very much. You're getting paid plus the tips. But anyways, $90 a week or something like that for a kid is is pretty good at like 11 years old, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll have actually money to buy those sneakers. Like the first week I'll have money to buy those sneakers. This is pretty awesome. Okay, cool. So the first day comes on a Monday. After school, we got to get the papers. So the paper guy just drops them in one place and everybody just comes and gets them from like that one corner. So we go and pick up, there's a couple bundles, right? Not a big deal, cool. So we pick them up, throw them in the car. We had a Astro van, an Aerostar. Like you slide the door open. And I would sit in the door open, and I would drive up. I would jump out, and I get ahead of myself. So we put the papers in the van, And my dad has this thing of plastic bags. And I'm like, where the fuck did he get those? Providence Journal gave them to him. So he said, take the paper out, fold it, put it in the bag. I'll pull up, stop, you run out, run up to the door, open the door, put it in the door. And I'm like, what? I'm like, time out. If we got 2 fucking routes to do like this, that's a lot of running around. So why don't we just take the paper, you drive by it, and I'll throw them out the fucking side of the thing. Like, that's what the guy does, the kid does for us. It lands in our front yard. Like, we got to walk in the front yard to get it. My dad said, that's how they do it, but that's not how we're going to do it. What we're going to do is do it like this. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why are we going to do it different? As a kid, I was argumentative, but I was curious. I was like, well, I don't understand. And he said that most of the money you're going to make is at Christmas time. And the better service you give people at Christmas time, like mailman, paper boy, they tip you bigger tips if you give them better service all year. So it's all about working towards that final week before Christmas where everybody gives you bigger tips. And I mean, some of the tips were like, this old lady gave me 5 pennies every week for a tip. Like, it was 5 cents. And she would count out the 5 pennies and put them in my hand and smile like she just gave me $1,000. I'd be like, thank you, ma'am. Like, so I mean, it was, learning experience on a lot of different ways. And I said, okay, well, fuck it. So now I'm like putting the papers and running them up to the door. And he would call me on my bullshit too. Like, after we would do the route together and stuff, sometimes he would run out there and he would see where the things are and how long it would take. And like, sometimes it'd be like a side door. And I'd run to the side door. He couldn't see me, just toss it in the fucking bush and run back. And he'd be like, did you put it in the door? I didn't hear the door open and close. I'm like, fuck. I turn around. He'd call me on my bullshit, make me do it the right way. And then, so we did that Monday through Friday. The first week, I was like, okay, that wasn't bad. It took about maybe 45 minutes to do both routes. Okay, cool. Because you're doing them in a car. So Saturday comes, we got to get up at 5 o'clock a.m. About 5 a.m. Pick the papers up, do the same thing because people need to have their papers before they get up for their coffee and shit. Okay, cool. Like, wait a minute, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a fucking Saturday at 11 years old. Like, this fucking sucks. I did go home and go back to bed usually, but still. Then Sunday came. Now, Sunday, Providence Journal, we couldn't get the papers dropped off. We had to go get them in Barrington. So we get up at 4:30, drive one town over to Barrington, and then package all the papers, stuff them all, put them all in the fucking car, and then hit the route. Now, the problem is, Sunday paper had about 4 times the amount of people on the route that the regular weekly paper did, because everybody wanted the Sunday coupons and shit. So now your route was 10 times bigger, and you had that much more work to do. The papers were heavy as fuck because they were big Sunday papers folded in half, shoved in those things. It took like, an hour and a half, 2 hours to do this route in the morning on Sundays. It's like, you've got to be shitting me. So, but we had to have the papers to people's doorsteps before they got out of bed on the weekend so they could have their paper to read while they drank their coffee. They had their breakfast. Everything was by design. And that was my first job. That lasted for a couple of years, and my dad continued doing them after I stopped. And my next job after that, I did some, random things here and there. I remember raking gravel one day with my cousin Christopher, just like side jobs and shit like that. He had friends that had like, not construction things, but like these different companies that would, driveways and stuff like that. And then I finally went to work with my cousin at Belasco's when I was 15. And I stayed at Belasco's till I went to college. I worked there all through pretty much 15, 16, 17 years old. But that instilling hard work is what my mom and dad wanted to do. Hard work. That's what it was about. Teaching a kid at 11 years old, setting good habits and letting them understand that you have to do things the right way and you have to do them better than everyone else to get better at what you're doing job-wise. And I look back, and a lot of people might say, like, 11 years old is a little young to be having a kid fucking run around at 5 o'clock on a Sunday because they're a kid. But I look back and I'm like, that's why I have the work ethic I have now. That was instilled in me as a kid. Like, that was set in my brain at a very early age that this is the bare minimum you want to do at 11. So what are you going to do when you're fucking 40? You know what I mean? Or 35 or 25 or whatever. So that one, I think my parents had a good design, a good plan. They put it together. They executed it perfectly, I feel like. And it was something that absolutely to this day that I am thankful for, and I have a lot of gratitude towards my parents for that. Now the other thing that I'll remember to the day I die, a lesson that my dad taught me, had nothing to do with my mom. And I I think it was just in the moment thing. I don't think there was much thought put into it. I don't think that right now he would even remember it if I asked him about it, if I told him about it, or discussed it with him. And that is, let's do this a little bit of oversharing. So I was a little kid in Barrington, way before we moved to. I was probably about 6 or 7. My brother, I don't think was born yet, so maybe 6, maybe younger than that, maybe 5 or 6. I was potty trained, okay, but so I was pooping, and yeah, I had to like hold myself on the toilet because it wouldn't fall in because my ass was so skinny, it was so narrow, and I wiped my butt, and I couldn't get it clean, so I yelled for my parents, "Mom, Dad." My dad comes in, he opens the door and he goes, "What?" I said, "I need your help. Come in here." So he's like, "Oh, fuck." So he walks in, he said, "What's the matter?" I said, I pooped and I'm wiping my butt and it won't get clean. And he goes, "Keep wiping." I was like, "But Dad," and I'm a little kid. I'm like, "But Dad, what if it doesn't get clean?" He said, "Keep wiping. You keep wiping and eventually it will be clean. Just keep wiping." I was like, "Oh." He said, "I'm going to go out there now. Keep wiping." So how much time goes by? I keep wiping. Eventually, my butt gets clean. So I come out of the bathroom and I'm like, wow, like that worked, you know? My dad's, "Everything good?" You know, "Everything's good." "Yeah, okay, cool." Well, to this day, I didn't realize that I took that in my head at the time. And I think this is what parents don't realize. Parents don't realize that kids create their own images of stuff. I don't think they even realize how much we understand and how much we apply. Like, I don't think that parents in general understand enough about kids, period. Not back in the day, not when I was a kid. Basically, keep them from hurting themselves and fucking make sure they get older and don't go to jail. That's pretty much what the whole scheme was. By listening to my dad in that instance, right, it was literally a blueprint for life. My butt's not clean, so keep wiping. Well, I'm not doing well with these math problems. Keep trying. I'm still not doing well. Keep trying. It's getting a little bit better. Keep trying. Okay, I got it. You know, if perfect example, when I was trying to get a 405-pound bench press the first time, a 405, I failed a couple times on it and it was heavy, and I thought, I'm never gonna be able to do this. This is crazy. And then week after week, I came back and I tried and I tried and I tried, and I was getting 365 for 5. I still couldn't break that fucking 405 barrier until one day I came in and I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna try it again after months. And eventually 405 just went up. I kept wiping, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what it is in life. If you are not doing well with it or it's not going your way, if you quit, it's never gonna go your way. You're never gonna fix it. You're never gonna accomplish it. But if you keep wiping, like my dad said, you keep chipping away at it, you keep doing a little bit better, you keep progressing a little bit at a time, eventually you get there. You know, like if I wanted to walk from Virginia to California, I left here, I got 2 miles away. Like, oh, I'm not reaching California. Keep walking. I walk for 2 weeks. I'm in Texas. I'm still not in California. Keep walking. Eventually, a couple months later, if I keep walking, I'll wind up in California. Keep walking, keep wiping, keep trying, keep going. And again, I don't think that it was any design that my father was trying to teach me a lesson. I think he just wanted me to get my ass clean and get out of the fucking bathroom. We only had one bathroom, so I'm pretty sure that's how the whole thing went down, or the reason why the whole thing went down like that. But sometimes parents give you these little nuggets of wisdom, these little jewels. They don't even realize they're giving them to you. Sometimes they do damage to you and they don't even realize they're doing damage to you. But sometimes everything just fucking fits. So in 2019, I just keep wiping. It's that simple. I keep wiping. All right, enough poop stories and fucking... Thank you guys for listening.